The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to see a bifurcation in society between humanists and transhumanists. If you're paying attention on X, it's already happening. So that's going to go fast. So you're going to get people that will revert back to something approximating 90s technology. It will be the doubling down on religion. It will be all about the family, things that are beautiful and wonderful. I'm not saying these things are bad, but that's going to be the camp. They will start to have an inherent distrust of technology. Then you're going to have the other side that's like, hold on a second. I don't want to be outperformed by AI. I want to leverage AI to augment myself so that I can keep up with or accelerate past AI. And that's the people that are transhumanists. And it's utterly fascinating to watch Elon Musk because he's like sketching out between, am I a humanist? And that's why I stopped talking to Larry Page, because he was saying that, Elon, you're a speciesist.
Yeah.
He's like, you got me. But he's also the one behind Neuralink. And he's like, we're going to have to ultimately merge with technology in order to keep up.
I keep saying to everybody that I think, for all the political craziness and everything else, it's like this moment we're at, where there's old people holding on too long and nothing kind of seems right, and we're confused about issues we had settled a long time ago. It all seems like that it's exactly where we were going to get 20-something years into this thing, good or bad or indifferent. Like we were supposed to be at this moment, but yeah, I agree with you. We're now just sort of sliding into what will be the really wacky part of it.
Yeah, I have an allergic reaction to the idea that old people are holding on too long. We should talk about that.
Okay.
But first,
right.
I'll get
not
to
many are not, but there's this small set of people.
You have to beat them. You have to beat them. Outperform. If you
I
can't
blame us.
outperform a geriatric, what is happening?
Yes.
People raise the bar. So, and if it's like they've entrenched themselves and they have too many powerful friends, get powerful friends.
Absolutely. Anyway. It's not an excuse. It's just a reality, I would say. Something like
it was Eric Weinstein that first brought that idea to my attention. And Eric, I literally adore every word out of his mouth. He is brilliant and I love him beyond measure. But when he said that, I was like, huh? Like, you can't expect anyone to give
to just
up
voluntarily
power. You have
give
to
up.
Outperform them. Anyway, okay, so the Valley of Despair, how do we end up thinking through that well? So the reality is, what is going to happen in terms of the real picture of what happens over the next 10 years, I've thought a lot about. Now, I could be wrong, but this is how I see it very clearly. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to see a bifurcation in society between humanists and transhumanists. If you're paying attention on X, it's already happening. So that's going to go fast. So you're going to get people that will revert back to something approximating 90s technology. It will be the doubling down on religion. It will be all about the family, things that are beautiful and wonderful. I'm not saying these things are bad, but that's going to be the camp. They will start to have an inherent distrust of technology. Then you're going to have the other side that's like, hold on a second. I don't want to be outperformed by AI. I want to leverage AI to augment myself so that I can keep up with or accelerate past AI. And that's the people that are transhumanists. And it's utterly fascinating to watch Elon Musk because he's like sketching out between, am I a humanist? And that's why I stopped talking to Larry Page, because he was saying that, Elon, you're a speciesist.
Yeah.
He's like, you got me. But he's also the one behind Neuralink. And he's like, we're going to have to ultimately merge with technology in order to keep up. So
I like seeing his struggle related to all that, by the way, because it's very much how I feel about all this. And I sense how you feel to some extent.
100%. If you're not a little bit of two minds, you're probably not thinking through the problem well. Okay, so that bifurcation happens. I think that will lead to real violence. And there will be some sort of cold civil war here in the US for sure. It'll be mirrored in other countries, but certainly here. How violent that gets, I don't know. Hopefully not super. Hopefully it's pockets of riots and things like that. And that we, as technology delivers more to more people, hopefully just the preponderance of good things that it adds to people's lives ends up outweighing it. But I don't think the two cultures will ever remerge. I think
because basically they're so disparate in the belief system, right? So basically the transhumanist will be looking at what are we calling them? The
humanists.
The humanists, in essence, is basically just saying, well, you guys aren't part of what the future is, and if you're not going to be part of it, we're pretty much going to have to take you out. And something like that. And the humanists are going to basically be like, you guys, in essence, are doing ungodly things, or you guys are trying to replace God, something like that.
Yes. So here's the thing that I hope for, and then here's the thing that worries me. Okay, so if the ratio ends up being a 50-50 split, it ends up being very ugly.
Yeah.
If it is a small number of people that are like, we're going to be humanists, this is going to be a total purity thing, and unfortunately that is going to be the language, then that could be self-containing because there will be so much energy. It will be so abundant because of what AI will bring post trough of despair, that the people that are transhumanists won't have to be offended or bothered because they won't be in a competition over resources, which is the thing that brings out all the ugliness. So if there really is all this abundant, close to free energy, then they can live. But if there's enough energy over here where it's like you're an abomination of God and you must be stopped because what you're doing is just inherently an affront to the religious truths. And if the sort of all religious people who have a purity ethos then get together and they go against people who are sort of breaking that could get ugly. And so my internal compass always leans optimistic. So I have a feeling things will just happen. It will normalize over time. Kids will grow up in a world where it's just like when you look at the Amish, right? It's still a beautiful culture. And there are reasons to admire and to learn from the Amish. But most people don't end up walking that path. Most people go over to the technologically advanced side. And so my feeling is that either the technologically imbued side really will be better, meaning people will have more respect and more love in their heart because of what they're doing with technology, and people will join them, or they won't, and it will be a clear sort of failed state, and people will be able to point and say, that's clearly a nonsensical way to go, and then everybody shifts back the other way.
I want to jump back to something that I started asking before about the people that led us to a lot of what people are struggling with right now, big tech and collusion with government and censorship and all that. I mean, when I think about the metaverse, it's like, why would I want to follow Mark Zuckerberg into the metaverse when I know just limitedly what he did with Facebook as it pertains to silencing people and everything else? And yet that is a huge portion of it. So I guess it's not pure, right? It's not a pure world that is being presented on the other side. It might be manipulated in ways that neither one of us can possibly imagine.
Yeah, so I'm a massive proponent of the metaverse, but I will say no one is more terrified than me of the subtle ways in which people nudge you in a direction that they think is good for you, and it ends up being tyrannical so fast. I cannot believe that people aren't just in screaming terror of what happens when people do top-down control.
Right.
And so I see people feeling
So how do you put those two feelings together? Because that's what it is.
The
right?
only way I see this is AI, the metaverse, all of it has to proliferate. So you must have 10,000, 100,000 AIs so that people can vote essentially with their feet of which AI they're going to invite into their life. This one helps me be productive, full of love, earn my own respect, be moving forward in life in any metric that we could, let's say, measure at the biochemical level. So I'm reading the data coming off your body and you're less stressed. Your life is longer. You spend more time in brain states that we would relate to the parasympathetic nervous system instead of fight or flight. We will get to the point where we can actually say you're in a good place.
So putting aside Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse for a second, what you're saying is each of us will select into a metaverse, not Mark's metaverse, but some AI controlled universe in essence that is catered to what we want out of life. And I mean, it's a good idea for a sci-fi movie. To me, it seems like those metaverses will then be at war with each other. Like that would be, are we going now we're going like the movie AI 1,000 years past, right?
Well, we certainly are. And I just tweeted about this today. Yeah. They're part of what deranges people with social media is the velocity and volume of information is so crazy.
Yeah.
And you're pulling future worries into the now that you can really drive yourself crazy. So some of this I say with the enthusiasm of a sci-fi writer who's just fascinated by the different ways that this could go. But the way that I see the metaverse playing out is that there will be second and third order consequences that we have to protect ourselves from that will be deranging. And if people are not honest about what those are, we'll have a problem. And this is why I really believe if people do not articulate what their life philosophy is, they are in trouble. You need to understand what you're aiming at. So I'm aiming eternally at human flourishing for as many people as humanly possible. Now, is that hard to achieve? Of course it is. But if you don't have an aim, you're going to be all over the map. And so we can just ask ourselves, okay, define human flourishing at a KPI level. The entrepreneur in me comes out at a KPI level that I can actually track, right? So I think those are going to be biochemical markers. You figure out what they are and you just start tracking them. So anyway, back to the metaverse. So any individual should be asking themselves, which of these metaverses is more fun to be in? Because until we transcend our biology, you're not going to be living in a metaverse. You're going to be playing in a metaverse. Mm-hmm. But if you understand the concept of being nudged, you have to know when I'm in this metaverse, it's nudging me in a direction.
Right.
It's the most hilarious example was Google Gemini, where George Washington is black.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely hilarious. And so suddenly you see, oh shit, like I'm being shoved. This isn't a nudge anymore. But once you understand everybody is nudging you in a direction. I've heard you say this, and this is absolutely true. When you go into a social platform, there's so much information, you have to make an algorithmic decision. Mm-hmm. That's a nudge.
Yeah.
And so you can try to be as even-handed, as transparent, or whatever, but you're nudging people.
You have to order information somehow.
Correct.
Period. Yeah.
So people just have to go in with their eyes wide open and say, do I feel better or worse about myself and my life in this one versus the other one? Because this is just a form of entertainment. So be careful.
If you're looking for an unfiltered lens into the world of tomorrow, check out our tech playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.